Become a member of the National At-Home Dad Network, an organization focused on providing advocacy, community, education, and support. Connecting with households where dad is the primary caregiver of the children. We do this through our webinar and podcast series, mental health support groups, regular online social events, as well as our annual convention. The National At-Home Dad Network is a 100% volunteer organization. Without the generous support of its members and the community around it, we would not be able to continue the work that we do. Becoming a member gives you access to past convention speaker presentations, the ability to vote for board members annually, and ensures that the organization's fees and bills are in positive standing. Oh yeah, it should not go unmentioned that there is some cool swag headed your way if you decide to become a member. For only $35 a year, your membership provides you with the exclusive content only we can generate, and you'll be supporting an organization that benefits families all around the country and world. By advocating for them, offering them community, providing education and guidance, and supporting them to grow in their parenthood journey. And one last thing, if you contribute $500 or more, you will become a lifetime member. Not only will you receive everything already mentioned, but also a certificate recognizing your status and an exclusive National At-Home Dad Network challenge coin with our trademark logo, Dads Don't Babysit. So, what are you waiting for? Become a member today. Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At-Home Dad Network. My name is Brock.
My name is Danny.
And we are here to talk about life as stay-at-home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Home Dad Chat. Danny and I were just brainstorming and we figured, well, we better hit record or else we're going to use all our best material.
I don't know if it can really be called brainstorming unless it's like lightning in a big barrel, thunder in a barrel. I guess not even lightning, just thunder. What was that sound? Nothing useful.
We got the old hamster wheel running in our brains and it's getting squeaky. And so we figured might as well hit record.
Right. I hear it every day.
Oh, goodness. But anyway, yeah. So we're gonna definitely have I think it'll be fun, especially after the day that it sounds like you've had, Danny. And I know that I've got dishes waiting for me, which is a whole nother thing that I'm not happy about. But that's another sidebar story. But
washing dishes is not a destination. It's a journey.
It is a journey.
It is a daily, weekly. Why won't you clean up your own dishes? I mean,
yeah.
I'm happy to wash all the dishes for you journey.
The worst part about that for me is that the dishwasher is now full, but now there are all the big things that need to be washed. And you're just like, okay, the kids are going to bed. I'm stopping because I'm going to record this freaking podcast because this is my self-care for the week.
Bingo. I got you beat. And I'm sorry to one up you in this.
That's okay.
But it's my dishwasher, which is we just bought the house, so I'm thinking, we didn't know how old it was. We didn't have the warranty, but it's like 5 years old, right? It's what the guy said. The repair guy that came out because it stopped working last week.
Oh no.
Yeah, and so when I went out of town this weekend, I was gone, basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all day. So I went out. I had the guy came in on Thursday, and he said, "Well, I have a part. It's the GUI panel, whatever it is on top. It'll be next week before we get it." I'm like, call me as soon as you get it. Come over anytime. Just get the dishwasher going.
I'll leave the front door unlocked for you, buddy.
I will. Exactly. I'll leave money on the table, extra money. Just get the dishwasher fixed. Before I left Friday or Thursday, I went that afternoon and I bought paper plates, paper bowls, paper cups, and plastic forks and so forth. Because I'm just like, I am not going to come home because nobody will wash dishes unless I tell them to wash dishes. Unless I say, like, they have their job list. This is on your job. You go do this thing. For the most part, they'll just go, Dad, there's no clean bowls.
Dad, so where's the construction trash can in the kitchen?
So I had a cup of cereal. You know, I mean, it's that kind of thing. It's just like, would you just, but so, you know, but they did very well and they kept everything pretty clean. So this morning, what I'm doing when I wash it, of course, I have a little dish rack thing, but we don't have one that sits on the counter because we don't have the counter space and I haven't bought one. We didn't bring it with us because they're like maybe $6 and I didn't want to pack it, you know, to a new house. So I left the old one there. Showed up. We don't really have one. So we have one that kind of sits in the bottom of the sink. So the left sink is for dirty dishes and washing. Right sink is for clean dishes, right? I told everybody in the house this is the new setup until the dishwasher gets replaced. I go in there this morning and all the dishes that I washed after dinner last night are covered in dirty dishes.
Ooh.
And I twitched a lot. I almost lost my mind. I looked at my 15-year-old who did it.
Ooh.
And I'm like, this yelling at him is not going to help in any way. We need to move along. He understands he did something wrong. He will not do it again. I don't have to lose my temper.
You done wrong, son.
Let's go. So I took all the dirty dishes out. I rewashed all those clean dishes, put them back in the right-hand side, get my littles up, out, gone. I go, I'm cleaning something downstairs. I don't know if it was vomit or poop this morning because we've had it all day long from the dog. It's been wonderful. Job security. And I go back upstairs, and at some point from the time I washed those dishes this morning to the time I went back up at say 9 o'clock, maybe somebody, and I want everybody that's listening to know that I'm using my finger hashtag and not hashtag, but quotation marks. Somebody unnamed went up and dumped a orange drink of some kind all over those clean dishes, just go and threw the can in the trash can. And I'm like, that's it. I quit. I'm out. I'm not doing this. I'm out. I am out. I mean, I was angry. I yelled, I raged. Nobody's home. So I got mad. The dog scared himself. Maybe that's why, you know, she threw up later. I don't know. I could have scared her that much, but I just lost it, you know, and it's such a tiny little nothing thing. Why would you get upset because you had to wash dishes? Okay. Yeah. I understand why you get, but why would you really just lose your mind, want to quit your job? Because it's a tiny little thing, a little grain of sand, a little rock in your shoe that you've dumped out 9 times and told people, don't put rocks in my shoe. Yeah, you put your shoe on and there's another rock in there. So,
oh man.
Yeah. That was my morning. And I apologize for the rant. I needed to get that out to somebody. And all of you guys listening, you're welcome. You know.
Woosah.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. My meditation today did not go well, man. But it's okay. It's all right. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. We're all good.
Does that mean that you're taking your talents to like the NFL now? Like, I mean, like
seems to be the place to go, doesn't it?
It does seem to be the place to go.
And with that,
I mean, yeah. So yeah, I mean, why not talk about Tom Brady and his
we really need to
his
really
quarter his flip around from things. I find it funny, and at the same time, like I think there's a serious conversation as well. Like we were talking about it earlier today. Like, you know, guys come and go from the workforce into being stay-at-home dads and back out for different reasons and stuff. And you know, we've been having some fun with it online.
Yeah, well, I mean, you do have to make the right decision for your family, and if that's staying home or going to work, on the serious side of things, respect whichever way you need to go for your family. But this dude who is an incredible athlete, 7 Super Bowl rings, right?
Yeah,
we talked about that earlier.
Yep.
And I mean, I couldn't hold a candle to this guy at any point in my life. There's never been a day in my life when I could have played football with this guy and been in any way effective against him, right?
Just to give you an idea, okay, I'm 42, you're 50, right? 53. He's 44, coming back for his 23rd season. I looked up, he's 6'4", he weighs 225 pounds. I mean, he's a big guy.
Big. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But those linebackers.
I mean, they got 75 pounds on them.
Those guys that are coming in there to sack him, yeah, they got at least 75 pounds, and they are not slowing down. They are young. They are in their 20s, you know.
True.
I'm mad respect for this man. However, you would rather go back to getting your butt kicked as a 44-year-old man on the football field than be a stay-at-home dad.
I just, and I don't know, like, I mean, okay, you know, here's my thing. And I was thinking about this too. Like, we don't know if he was being like what he was going to end up doing if he would have actually like stayed home or like stayed away from the NFL type of deal. Like I don't think that he would have probably stayed home. He probably would have became like a commentator or got scooped up as like an assistant coach or something. Who knows? But at
Yeah.
the same time, like it was just interesting that he announced like, hey, I want to spend time with my family, and so I'm going to take a hiatus. And everybody's like, oh, he's retiring, which he really never actually said those words. Like I think
That's true. All right.
Giselle like basically was trying to get him, I think, to just understand like, your kids are getting older, and we need to sort of get into that perspective of things, which I totally understand. But it was just funny. Like, I mean, yeah, dude's got a lot to still leave out on the field, honestly. But so after being home for a month, I think that there probably were a few things that maybe helped along those way. And this is my sort of like idea behind this. So you let me know what you think about these ideas. So I've got three main ideas for why it is that I think Tom Brady decided to not retire and come back to the NFL. So the first one is, just like all dads, he's telling all of his stories about his greatest accomplishments at any given time whenever he can, and he is just annoyed the heck out of his kids and his wife.
No more bedtime story. We're tired, Dad. We've heard that one.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean,
yeah, you threw the ball really well. Can we move on? Can we read? No, his kids are older, so they don't know how to read Goodnight Moon. But can we just go to bed, Dad?
Right, exactly. He's just going over and over all these. And he's been home long enough. He probably got through all 7 Super Bowls, I would imagine. So I mean, you could probably cover those in the time that he was at home. The other thing that I had, and this one, some people might get this, especially if you're fully immersed in the stay-at-home dad world. But he probably started getting requests from guys like us and other podcasters who are stay-at-home dads, and we're like, man, we just want to talk to you. And he's probably like, why does a stay-at-home dad podcast want to talk to me? And it's like, because you are the next Rick Moranis, my friend.
And for those who don't know, Rick Moranis is the ultimate, in our opinion, stay-at-home dad, because he had a multi-million-dollar movie career and was an actor for a very long time and decided to stop doing that and stay home with his kids. So,
right. So,
rock on, Rick.
And then
Rick Moranis, if you ever need any place to say anything that you don't mind being recorded, you can do that here on Home Dad Chat. You contact me, contact Brock. We're ready for you, sir. Whatever you need.
At any moment.
Any moment.
Okay. And this is my last one. And I think that all dads, like just all parents in general, can probably like assimilate with this one. But so before they leave the house, he calls a team huddle to set the play so that the kids understand what's going to happen when they leave the house. But unfortunately, the kids call their own audible after the play is set, and he's all like, what's going on? And it's just happened so many times. He's like, I'm done. I'm the one that calls the audibles out on the field. And this is how this is going to go.
Call an audible. His kids would too. They would just for
sure.
How could they not? How could they not?
Do. Yeah. So those are my 3 reasons why I think he decided to come back to the NFL. I feel like they're all solid reasons, honestly.
Well done. Yeah.
But I think at the same time too, on a whole serious note, yes, he definitely is doing what's best for his family in that situation. But I think too, we see time and time again in the National At-Home Dad Network closed group guys talking about, hey, like, I've stepped away from work to be a stay-at-home dad. I don't know, what end is up, but this is what we feel is best for our family. And I'm so glad I found this community. Please give me all of your information, type of thing, so that I can get on the same page as all of you. And then there's others who are like, I am getting out of the stay-at-home dad role and going back into the workforce, and I don't know how I feel about this, or maybe I am excited about it, but at the same time, it's sort of a bittersweet kind of deal. And it's one of those, it's all comes down to it's what's best for the family. So
yep.
Yeah.
And I love too, a lot of times, so we have guys in the National At-Home Dad Network that will, on the Facebook page especially, it will say, hey, I'm going back to work. Do I need to leave the page?
Oh yeah.
And
no, you don't.
You don't. Yeah, you do not. If I will say, we have a lot of leeway in what we would, quote unquote, allow as a member, for an at-home dad. If you identify as a dad, you're a dad. Okay. If you're at home, the primary caretaker is the best way I can think to say it, but you're still working from home. Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, you're still doing the
Heck yeah.
work, you
Heck
know?
yeah.
And the thing that I feel that is the most important and the most beneficial and the thing that I rely on the most is that community, is those
Yeah.
other, that brotherhood of fatherhood, those other dads that can understand and know. And then secondary is just the support you get everywhere you go with everything you do.
Mhm.
We have certain things that come up and people aren't supportive of it, or people, kind of make fun of people about it, and we always come in, the admin team's really good about checking it, stepping in, and they're like, guys, we're here to build a community. We're not here to tear people down. We're not here to make fun of people. Kind of, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But the reality of what we're doing is that they're trying to build that support, build that group that everybody can rely on. You can go to a place and be like, all right, at least here I can say the things I need to say. Maybe nobody else has ever been through it, but at least they'll listen, at least they'll understand. And it's, I think, indicative of how greatly men in general, in my opinion, I know women have their own issues and what have you, but men, and then especially dads, need a community, need support, need somebody that they can rely on, you know? So anyway, I didn't mean to run off on that little diatribe.
No, man, you're great. Hey,
Tom Brady couldn't hack it, and that's all I'm saying. No, no, I he could too, but he's got 3 kids. Because I saw a picture of them earlier when I was looking up what was going on with them, and they're, I think 2 are teenagers, are old enough, and then one's like preteens, and I'm thinking, yeah, I feel you, man. It's rough.
Yeah.
Especially if have been away kind of from everything for a good part of their lives. And, I'm sure he's home probably more than like the standard businessman might be, or what have you. Cause he probably has, a duration of time where, hey, I can be there be with my family. And then other times where he's gone for weeks at a time, but he spent a lot of time at home. I'm sure his kids know him and all that, but hey, I'm here again this morning with my kids all over the place, and they're up again, and they're pouring drinks on top of the clean dishes I just washed, that kind of thing.
Right.
And it's difficult. So even if that was the reason, I wouldn't laugh at him, because like I said, I almost quit this morning. I mean, I'm not kidding either. I drafted a letter of resignation. And you know how they say you write a letter and then you just don't write an email, angry email, you don't send it.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I didn't send it, and I feel good.
I don't know that your partner in crime would accept your letter of resignation. Something tells me she might light it on fire and throw it at your feet.
She would probably try to work a deal with me. Like, whoa. Maybe you need some time away. That's fine. Maybe just a couple of days to yourself.
Couple bottles of scotch, a box of cigars.
What can I get? Yeah, right. Yeah. What do I need to? How can I bribe you to stay? Because and that's one thing too that we were talking about. Like Saturday was Working Moms Day, National Working Moms Day, and I'd never heard of that personally, but we brought it up through the network page and what have you, through the network, and I'm like, oh, that is very cool. And for me, my mom was a working mom. My mom's worked every day of my young life and what have you. And I know the sacrifices she made. And I know for our household, I'm the one that stays home, but Marnie's there doing all of her work, and we're afloat right now simply because of the things that she's been doing. And I'm very grateful for that. And I know that we, a lot of times as at-home dads, forget about how valuable we are. We forget about how much we bring to the table, because Marnie has told me, I couldn't be here if you weren't at home.
Oh yeah,
doing what you do.
Same thing. Yep.
How can I handle doing this stressful, job with these high expectations if I had to be at, come home every couple of days or whatever, once a month for the kids being sick or needing to go on a field trip or whatever it might be? How could I do that and keep my job?
Definitely.
So,
yeah.
We're valuable. That's what I'm saying.
We are. And so are our counterparts who are, raking in the bucks. So,
working outside the home.
It was nice on Saturday to definitely put some honor out there, honoring our working moms that was pretty, that was a lot of fun. Actually, I enjoyed that. We got a lot of different people that chimed in. So it was good stuff. You mentioned field trips. I love field trips. Have you gotten to go on many field trips since you've been a stay-at-home dad?
Realistically, not a lot, but I've gone on several and I've had a great time. When you have
Yeah.
multiple kids, you kind of have, for the first two, I still had kids at home in diapers.
Oh,
And there was a lot of stuff they wanted to go do. I'm like, well, they will tell you siblings aren't allowed.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
they
it's
do
like,
tell
this
you
is
that.
just for this kid and his class. And I'm like, well, I can't bring my baby. I can't go. You know, it's just, I don't have an option. Right. But I did get, on occasion to go to some and had a really good time. I've liked everything. I think every field trip we've been on, I've enjoyed.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
Well, I was listening to the radio today, and they were talking about like calling in and telling like what your favorite like field trip was as a kid or whatever to go on, and it was interesting hearing people's stories about different things like that. And my wife was off work today because she wasn't feeling well, and I was folding laundry in the living room as she was laying on the couch consoling herself, trying to get to feeling better. And I was like, man, like I can remember some really good field trips. And she was like, I really can't. Like my childhood, my field, like I just don't have any of those good memories like that. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
that's interesting. And I just was like, well, maybe you just need to take a day off and go on a field trip with one of the kids so that you kind of experience a good experience type of thing, like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
kind of
Like
deal.
fill that memory up with a good memory.
Right. And it just got me to wondering, I'm just like, man, I wonder how many dads out there are in that situation. Like their childhood was such that they don't have a good memory of going on a field trip. And so,
Yeah.
what does that look like or whatever, and those kind of things. And I know that just from us talking, like your childhood is kind of similar to Corey's in some ways, just with the way things kind of have happened for you. Like,
Mhm.
do you have good memories of going on field trips as a kid?
Well, for me, it comes down to my attitude, kind of. I'm not trying to say that I do this well, but I want to be happy and I like being happy. And I'm kind of like a dog, you know, it's kind of like if no matter how long you've been gone, your dog loves to see you again. That's the kind of what if we're going to go do this, yeah, okay, let's go do this. I get really excited. So the field trips that we went on, no matter what was going on at home, always enjoyed them. We had, and I will say, I see these names today. And if I still lived near Atlanta, if I went by the place, it would just give me big floaty hearts. But we went to the Center for Puppetry Arts a lot, which is in downtown Atlanta. We went to Fernbank Science Center, which was amazing. And then the planetarium, those I can remember off the top of my head. And I don't remember exactly what we did. Like Fernbank Science Center, I don't know what we did there. But the thought of going to Fernbank Science Center still is like, yeah, let's go. I don't know what it is, but let's go.
Yeah.
I know I'm just going to love being there because it's all nostalgia at this point.
Well, wasn't you mentioned that you went to the puppet place? Isn't that where Scotty
Scryer? Yep.
Yeah, isn't that where he went for kind of like learning how to build his puppet and stuff?
Yeah, he waited until I left Atlanta to go down to Atlanta, and yeah, it was fine. It was really funny too, because I'm really joking. Of course, Scotty, if you hear this, I love you, man. But I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. You're going to the Center for Puppetry Arts. Missed you by that much. I mean, just like, I think it was a couple of weeks. I don't remember exactly how long it was. But yeah, that is, and it's a very famous, I mean, they have a lot of historical puppets. They have a lot of, I mean, when you're not in that world of puppetry, right, and you don't really have the exposure that you don't really get it, but it's an entire realm, entire medium of art that is so nuanced and so just useful would be a good way to put it for me. Than because like what Scotty does with his monster, he's got a specific way of dealing with things that has to deal with his puppet. And I love it. It's great for him. It's very self-care too for him as well.
Definitely.
But yep, same place.
That's cool. So you mentioned those. Like, is there a favorite out of those that is kind of like your?
For me, probably Fernbank Science Center, I would think. But I really what I want now is planetariums, because we're doing a planetarium, kind of like a in-person, kind of like a documentary class type thing they've got going on here to basically introduce people to planetariums and tell them about local planetariums and try to kind of hype it up, I guess. And I'm excited about going to that.
That sounds fun. Yeah.
Being able to see the night sky and being able to kind of give an understanding of the distance, and how very small we are. One of the things I've always found very beneficial from me personally is to remember that I am just a tiny, tiny, tiny little speck of dust compared to anything else in the universe. The distance between us and the moon, the distance between us and the sun, just all of these things. I mean, it's mind boggling to me.
Yeah.
But the planetarium kind of brings that all together and then adds some cool music and makes it into a show.
Definitely.
So
Are you in an
want.
area where like you can get far enough away to like you're far enough away from the light pollution to like see like the Milky Way and all that?
Yeah, I don't know about the Milky Way.
Yeah.
We definitely are a good distance away, and I think with just a pair of binoculars, we can see amazing things.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it's very, very dark. In fact, we had to. It took us about 4 or 5 times before we could drive home at night after dark. That is, without getting lost, because it's just so dark. I mean, it's just like, wow, okay, all the light is gone, and we don't have street lights. We don't have any of that, which is wonderful, and that's the
cool.
way I like it. So
it's always fun though, because like you can be like laying out and see like shooting stars and satellites and whatnot. So
yep.
We had to explain to the kids like what a satellite was because they were just like, it's just a light going across. I'm like, yeah, that's a satellite. And they were just like, oh, wow, that's really wild.
That's neat. What is that? Oh,
it's not flashing. That is not an airplane. That's the other difference too. You get people like, oh, that's an airplane. Like, no, that's not flashing. That's different.
Well, I was hanging out this weekend, as you probably know, with the board members and what have you. And there was a red something, and I thought it was Mars. It looked red to me. I'm like, I don't know what that is. It's kind of cloudy tonight and the moon's out, but you can still see it brightly. So I think if you can see it that brightly, it's probably a planet. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know. So I asked Keith Nagel, who's our vice president of the board. He was sitting beside me, and I said, is that a planet? And he pulls out immediately an app called Star Walk 2.
Okay.
Right?
I was gonna be like, Skyview Light is mine that I like to
all right
use. So yeah.
Star Walk 2 is what he uses, and he pulled it right out, and he uses it for his kids and stuff. And it shows the constellations. It's like everything you'd want. It also has music, which I thought was amazing.
Yes,
I'm like,
mine does
theme
too.
music. All right.
Yeah, you get a little background music, little ambiance.
Yeah, it was so cool. I'm like, well, again, it was like the planetarium, where you have that kind of cool background music going off. And so we were using that this weekend, and I'm definitely going to use that here with the kids too, just to go, okay, so that is Venus, because back in Georgia, we would see Venus a lot. Where it came up and how it rose on the horizon. It was above the trees, but still where we could see it, basically based on everything. Yeah. And I love the stars, the constellations, planets. I love all that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to getting a better set of binoculars for that, and then eventually get a telescope. And we're not getting a telescope yet because we have to, one is money, honestly, but the other part of it is realistically with what we want to do, we need to have something that we can hand to each person. Like, okay, so look right here, and doing it from a telescope is a lot more difficult when your kids are smaller, younger.
Right. Yes.
Because they bump it every time. It's like, I had it right on it. You see it? Boop. Give me a minute, And I told Marnie, I said, I want, if I had my, if I was president of the world or whatever, I would say, I want one that I can put my phone down. It connects to an app like, Star Walk or what have you, and say, okay, computer, show me Venus, and watch the telescope go, and wherever it needs to be into place, and on a gimbal and all that, and just motorized to go right where you want it to go, and boop, there's Venus in the sky. Or, no, Venus isn't visible tonight. What do you want? You be smarter, whatever it does. So that's where, if I don't know that we're probably not going to get that. But I would do
something out like that.
Well, we can do it manually. We're good. We can do manually.
The app, like that Keith's got, the one that I use. I mean, it's just awesome for if whatever time, when you're out at night or whatever, especially when kids are like, oh, I saw the first star, and they want to figure out what it is. Like, I've handed my phone to them and like, here, and they look it up and see what it is and stuff. Yeah. So, but it's neat because too, like, it actually shows like the outline for the constellations and tells you what it is, which is really cool. And that's the thing that is neat, because you're like, oh, like Orion the Hunter, like you actually get to see like the full Orion the Hunter. Yeah. And so that's really cool.
Does it show you below the horizon?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it. Like I can look down at the ground
Just
and I can be like,
yes,
yeah,
yes, yeah.
which
And there are
really trips, which really trips
constellations.
my kids out.
There's constellations that we've never, or unless we were in the southern hemisphere, that I've never seen,
Yeah,
basically, because I've never been below the equator. I've never, been to like Australia or anything, truly south, let's say.
right.
And so there's different constellations, and
Mhm.
that in and of itself was amazing to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. I saw some constellation. I'm like, I've never even heard of that. I'm like, how have I never heard of this? And so I look for it, and most of them I'd never heard of. I
Right.
mean, the Southern Cross, I think, is the only one that I truly know. And they were coming up with all these other ones, and I'm like, this is amazing because it's so much more information, and it's looking at the world as opposed to just looking at your backyard.
Oh yeah.
It's a
It's the way
greater
to dig the China
expansion.
without having to
Yeah.
go through the ground. Woo! And we all know that we've tried to do that.
Yep. Yep. Stopped by the mantle. Dang
Yes.
it. So
Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, I definitely love planetariums. We've got one here in town that's I've yet to go to. Probably to try to do that this summer, but it's a pretty famous one from what I understand. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but I've heard quite a few things about it, and so I definitely want to go check that out. So that's on my list. We went to a planetarium actually down in Lane Between the Lakes.
oh yeah.
Right during the lunar eclipse years ago, and that was really cool.
I bet.
And so we actually got to see, like, they actually had it like up on, like, showing the whole process, so you could walk up there and like look through like telescope the way that it's set up, and you could see it. And that was
It's awesome.
it was pretty wild. Like there was just a line, and everybody was just waiting for their chance to like go through and see it. So that was really cool. But yeah, I definitely love planetariums. And for me, like that kind of falls into like my favorite field trip, honestly, because my science teacher in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade was a lady by the name of Mrs. Strickler. And she was an older lady. And I really didn't know who she was prior to coming into 6th grade. I hadn't heard anything about her. But apparently she had quite the reputation for being this just amazing teacher. And like everybody just like loved her. And so when I came into 6th grade, like it was just sort of like, oh, like she could be my grandma, but she's super sweet. Like, this is cool. And she taught us so much stuff about science. But the thing that was really cool was she had basically, and this is back, gosh, this is late 80s, maybe early 90s. Actually, early 90s is when this would be. She actually got it okayed by the school board for her to rent charter buses and fill those charter buses with the entire 6th grade class.
Nice.
And take that entire 6th grade class. I think it was actually 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, all of them. Take them to Chicago. We're about 3.5 hours or so from Chicago, and so yeah, we did a day trip to Chicago. We'd leave early in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that. Get on the bus, sleep, get there, and we would do like the Science Industry Museum, Museum of Natural History. We did Shed's Aquarium one time. There was we did like an Al Capone type of trip, which was really cool because we went to like the McDonald's rock and roll, like rock and roll McDonald's. Like it was really wild. And to get there, we had to go through Chinatown, which Chinatown, Chicago, I don't know, man. Like it's a little iffy. And the funniest part about that was that the charter bus driver like nailed a parked car, and like he hit it. I was on the bus that hit it. So he hits this thing, stops. We're all like, did he hit it? Like he gets out. The teacher, my dad's on this with my dad came with me on our field trips. Like it was funny. Like he was not a stay-at-home dad, but my mom's a school bus driver, and my dad worked in the printing factory, and it was much easier for him to get off of work and come do these field trips. So he came with us. And I think he was like the only male chaperone on. So he gets off with the bus driver. And my dad, he's a pretty roughneck dude. So he gets off with him. They look at it. They're like, ooh. And my dad's like, what do you want to do? The bus driver's like, get out of here, like before we get shot. Like, he literally just backs the bus up and like leaves. And we're like, my dad gets on and I'm like, what happened? He's like, we're getting out of here. Like, we're not, I'm like, okay.
Everything's fine.
And we're all like,
everything's fine. We're just
like,
moving
is that
along.
normal? And he's like, no. He's like, usually if you hit a car, you find out who it is or leave some sort of information. He's like, but in this case, he's like, we really don't need to put everybody in jeopardy. So we're getting out of here.
Moving right along because we all want to live.
Yeah, right. But other than that, I mean, they were just fun trips. Like, I learned so much. Like, we would, we were going through like all the different museums and things like that. And I got to the point where when I got into high school, that was where I wanted a road trip to. Like, I would be like, hey, like, let's go. Guys get in the car and we'd go to Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, it was just funny, like, a bunch of us from not like I mean, it's a pretty rural area, I guess, like going up there and just, we find a place to park and just walk around and see whatever we could in that time period. So it was a lot of fun, but that was my favorite trip of all was going there. And two, I think what made it special for me was that my dad came with us every year. And so like, and on top of that, like, I mean, my brother was a year behind me. So like when he went, like my dad went with him, and the year after that, like a few years after that, like my sister, like my brother and I were in high school at this point. My sister was going through, and so he got to do it again and everything. And that teacher was still there. And
nice.
Yeah. And it was funny, like she retired and Facebook came about, and everybody from my class started asking about some of our favorite teachers, like, are they on Facebook yet or whatever? And I mean, it took years before we tracked her down. And we found out that one, she was still alive, and two, like she had a Facebook account. And so like a bunch of us started like communicating with her. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love some of my old school teachers, and I'm actually still in contact with a few of them. So like my speech teacher, like she just turned 65, I think, or something like that the other day. And so like she put a thing up there, and I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now if it wasn't for her. And the guy who, Mr. Bill Walker, my radio teacher, who I got into doing radio in high school, and he's actually getting like the top broadcasting award for a teacher in the state of Indiana, because of all of what he's done for high school broadcasting.
Yeah.
So just stuff like that. Like I just have all these like great memories from those things, and they've all just embedded into me to do what I'm doing now. So
yeah. So have you gone on any field trips with your kids? And
yeah, I have. So I got to go, where'd I go? We went to a place not far from where the school's at, and basically they were learning like conservation type stuff, like how to make art with just nature around. And then this, like, it was a very beautiful old building. Actually, it was interesting because the family that owned this property is the family who owns like this famous like yeast that everybody uses to make bread with. I can't think of the name of it right offhand.
Fleischmann's?
Yeah, that's it. Fleischmann's. Yeah. So the Fleischmann's family, they are here from out of Cincinnati.
Now, don't ask me why I remember that, because I don't know where that came from. I literally have, you mean Fleischmann's yeast? And my brain is going, what are you doing? How did you, what? I literally have no reason to remember that, but yes.
I love how I'm here, you're there, and you're the one that gets that. That makes me look really bad, actually, for being the guy that lives in Cincinnati. I did not even know that. But yeah, so Fleischmann's, they own this property, and they let the different schools come in and do some different things on the property. It's a beautiful piece of property, actually. It's been around for years, hundreds of years, a couple hundred years almost, or whatever. So, or I don't know, like close to a couple hundred years. But anyway, it's gorgeous.
Awesome.
So yeah, we went there, and I got to take the kids. I got to take my oldest to the zoo recently. That was a lot of fun because it's kind of cold. Like, our zoo does not close. It's open all year round. So you might see some animals on some days and not on others, depending on the weather outside.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it was just fun to just run around and let them see stuff. And two, there were things that I knew where it was like, oh, like, hey, have you guys ever seen a sloth? And like, my son, of course, he's like, yeah, because he's seen everything. But the other kids, like, they're like, no. And so we went and took them to show them a sloth, and I knew exactly where it was, and you could get pretty close to it, honestly. So that was a lot of fun, and just different little things like that. Like our zoo gets manatees that are rescued from Florida. Like they come here to rehab, and so we went to go.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We'll get some like Tampa Bay. Tampa Zoo gets that as well, but they do ship manatees up here to do like rehab.
Yeah, I have to admit, I would love to just not in any depth at all, but just how do they do that? Just like what we put them in a tank and then we put them on the plane, or it's I just see manatees in a giant tank. Yeah, on and every time you stop, the manatees just sloshing back and forth. Or what? I mean, of course, it doesn't work that way. They're much safer than I would imagine, but I still think, wow, huh. And if you were driving down the highway and if you pass a semi and on the back of it is a manatee just looking at you like, hey, got hit by a boat, going to go rehab up in Cincinnati,
right.
Going to go see some hippo. I don't know what a hippo is, but they told me it's great. I'm a manatee. I don't know.
Right.
Sorry.
Well, no,
extrapolating a lot, obviously.
Well, there's a show. So Disney has a show called like Secrets of the Zoo, and they've got different, like there's a Secrets of the Zoo Columbus, there's a Secrets of the Zoo Tampa. And I'm like, dude, they need a Secrets of the Zoo Cincinnati, because I want to know like what all is going on behind the scenes here in town. Because especially with the fact that like, yeah, you've got the hippo, you've got these manatees coming in. There's a few other things, like we have bald eagles that come here for recovery as well. So there's like usually 4 bald eagles at any given time, like on display, which is really cool. But yeah, I mean, so going to the zoo was fun. Actually, it wasn't what it normally is. Typically when they go to the zoo, they do a sleepover. So they actually have this area back by the giraffes where the kids and the parents actually get to sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, like you can walk out on the patio and the giraffes are right there. Like, because you're in their yard, basically.
All right.
And I was just so bummed because of COVID. They were like, we can't do that right now. Like, that's not going to work. But that's what they've done in years past. And I'm like, oh my God, that would have been just super awesome. I've got a few more years. I'm hoping that I get to do it with Ruby because she'll go through it, again when she hits 3rd grade. So, but yeah, so that's a big one there. And then the one that I didn't get to do with Ruby, which they've done in years past, is usually they go to Dortshire like peppermint like candy shop where they make the Dortshire candy canes, which is like it's like the oldest candy cane company in the world. And so it's right here in Cincinnati, in this tiny little like town where my kids go to school. And usually they get to do like a tour there, because they also make the French chew taffy as well. That if you've ever seen French chew, like there's usually like big bars of like French chew taffy. It's got like a kid on it, and it's usually got like a color with white on it. It's kind of like a tiger print. It's kind of interesting. But
yeah, I don't know that, but I definitely know the peppermint.
Yeah,
the candy canes.
So anyway, like they usually get to do a tour there, and they haven't got to do that for the past 2 years. So that's one that I didn't get to do with my son because I had my daughter. So that didn't work out, and I'm not going to get to do it with her and because of COVID. So
the age and what have you.
So I've got to go on a few, but I want my wife to go on one. I really do. Like, I feel like she needs to go on a couple to fill that jar of negativity up with some positive things.
And just that moment of when you show up at school as a parent into your kid's class, even if it's not a field trip, even if it's just coming to class to read a book, when your kid sees you, my kids jump up and down. They go, "That's my dad. Dad, hi, Dad. It's my dad." And I'm like, "That's right. You do love me." I'm not such a jerk. But going on a field trip with them, I went with Elizabeth to a local farm back in Georgia, and it's a strawberry farm, and it's a pick your own. It's called Washington Farms, and they have a huge play area behind the strawberry fields. So you kind of pull through the strawberry fields and you can see them planting and what have you, or growing, depending on what time of year you go, and you park, and then you go into this area where they have like the really oversized tired tricycles, and they have a huge like 10 by 10 or probably it's got to be 20 by 20 little bin basically with a roof on it that's full of corn kernels.
Mm.
And you just get in there and play in the corn kernels. It's just like, what is this for? But the kids love it because it's kind of like playing in a ball pit or in sand, but you don't bring any of that stuff with you, you know?
Right.
But they have like the big slides, they have the big corrugated pipes, you know, that are 10 feet high that you walk through and they're slowly spinning, you know, and you try to, and just a big, you know, experience for the kids just to have fun. And then they have some educational classes about, you know, how planting is done, how harvesting is done, and all those things. And being able to go with Lizzie and her best friend at the time, now they left me immediately, but they always came back, you know, because they're like, we're going to go ride the tricycles. I'm like, I am going to go watch you. And then they would veer off from the tricycles to go pet the goats or something, you know. But it's enclosed and it's all teachers and parents, and you kind of know where they are at all times, you know. But they come find me when there was the pig race, and I went, we're going to a pig race. All right. And Lizzie was ecstatic. She's like, I can't believe this. We get to watch pigs race. I'm like, I would never have believed it either if you told me at any point in my life that I'd be sitting here today with my 6-year-old daughter watching pigs race. Well, she was probably 5, but whatever. I wouldn't have. I never would have went with that one, you know. But the experience, you know, how just wonderful she felt having me there. The pictures that I got were really good. Well, some of them were really good. Yeah, some of them were like, "What's that blur?" Yeah, it was probably Lizzie. It may have been her friend. I really don't know. We're just gonna delete that one. But just having that opportunity to hang out with them, and as a parent, especially if you don't get any time with your kids, you know, if your time with your kids is at the end of your day when you're exhausted and you kind of just get to fall down for a second, and then the kid wants to come over and maybe you'll cuddle with them or read them a book, and that's it, you know, and then you're kind of disconnected for the next, you know, 24 hours. Having that chance to go take some time off. I know that's difficult, but take some time off and go hang out with them at the, you know, at the puppet show or whatever. Yeah, that's an amazing experience. I think even if you don't need to refill, you know, that positive memory of it, I mean, even just to do it, I think that's amazing. So definitely. I hope she gets to.
Definitely. Yeah, I hope so too. So that's one we keep pushing her towards, because I think there's one coming up here in April. So that will hopefully get her to. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I feel a lot of parents sometimes miss out on, is just taking that time, which at the same time too, I feel like with everything going on with COVID and family planning acts or whatever, like things that are going on as far as legislation, it's becoming hopefully more and more viable for families to be able to take that time to be able to get to do that and not feel guilty for doing it, because that's the other side of it that a lot of parents feel. So yeah, it's coming. I feel like it's been a slow roll, but I feel like it's gotten more amplified just over the past 2 years. So yeah,
for sure.
But
and if nothing else, tell Corey I'm praying for her, you know. I know she's tired. She's got a lot of stuff on her shoulders on a regular day. So
yeah. And we've been through the ringer with stomach bug here recently. So that's made the weekend.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
But it's the worst.
We're on the other side of it, thank goodness. So spring break starts next week. So not really going anywhere, but we'll still have fun.
You know, today it was 52 and sunny. The sun stayed up till almost 7:00.
There you go.
And my mind is blown. I don't know. We almost have a 12-hour of sun day. So I'm like, okay, spring is going to be here, even though it's going to snow Friday. Tomorrow it's going to be in the 60s. You know, and the kids had their bikes out today, and we're going to go buy a big wheel for my 9-year-old and have all this stuff. And I'm like, spring break? No, I have nothing. I have absolutely zero plans right now because I don't know what to do in Wisconsin. And I kind of assumed it would be covered in ice. I mean, it's a bad assumption, I know, but I kind of like, well, it's still going to be cold. So we're not going to go to like Lake Michigan and jump in the water. Yeah, it's really, really looking like spring finally. And I'm excited.
Well, speaking of sort of like more light, did you see where the U.S. Senate just passed the bill today to make daylight savings times permanent?
So we're not going to switch back and forth?
Yeah. So the U.S. Senate approved a bill basically making it, it's got to go through the president and stuff, but basically it's a bill that, if I can get this thing to pull up, what is going on? So yeah, it's approved to make daylight savings time permanent. And it's something that's going to take place starting in 2023. yeah, and you won't have to worry about it. It's called the Sunshine Protection Act. And it's a bill that I believe is being bolstered by Mark Rubio, and it's backed by um, a bunch of other different people and stuff. So we'll see how it passes. I guess it's something that's tried to pass before, but this is the first time I think it's made it through the U.S. Senate. So, um, but yeah, that's kind of
That's
exciting. Might not have to
and
worry about that anymore.
I would love that. I am surprised that the golf industry is going to let that happen, but yeah. Because did you know the golf industry is the one that wants daylight savings time to continue?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
yeah,
new.
me either. Me either. But then I'm like, well, I hate this. I hope it's going away. And I can't remember who it was, but they're smarter than me. And they went, well, the golf industry is going to let that happen. And I went, what? Why would the golf industry care about daylight savings time? And they had a great explanation, and I've forgotten it by now, but I'm going to have to look it up.
We might have to come back to this.
Bring $70 billion in economic impact to the U.S. Lobbied for DST's expansion in the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll have to come back to it. But
we have to come back to this conversation. But yeah,
this is too deep. We're out of time anyway, so it's too in depth right now. What are you doing, Danny? Shut up and let the guy talk.
no, it's all good. But anyway, so something to keep a lookout on the horizon there. We might not have to worry about daylight savings time. I would love it too. It'd be nice. My kids wouldn't have to be such monsters.
Right. And if nothing else, just I have like 4 out of 20 clocks. I don't know if I have 20 that don't update automatically.
You just walking around like, oh,
and I had like the one beside my bed is a sunlight clock, so it turns on and it brightens up. It's supposed to brighten up slowly, but it just basically goes straight to burn your eyes out. But it's an hour behind. And I'm like, I get up for the last 2 days. I'm like, what time is it? Oh, wait, no. Am I supposed to be in bed? I don't know what's going on. I got to get my phone, or my Fitbit and look at it. So like, dang it, clocks, you're failing me.
Yeah, I got tripped out today going to school because we didn't go to school yesterday. And I got in the car and I was like, it's 1:30. Nope, that's not right. Like it's 2:30. I didn't get to going. So yeah, daylight savings times. Go the way of the dodo. All
Good.
Right. Well, on that, I will definitely be talking with you next week, and hopefully maybe we'll have a guest. I've been talking to a few different guys. So hopefully we bring on a guest and we can chat with somebody else and have a fun conversation. So we'll see how it plays out, but that's what I'm working for next week. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, man, hope you have a great week, and hope that hope your dishwasher gets fixed.
I do too.
Whoever that ruffian is that's not putting things in their right place, may you catch them and be ever so gracious with them as you give them a swirly. I mean
yeah, I'm not allowed to do that to fellow adults. Oh. No, I'm sure it was a child. You know who I know doesn't listen to my podcast? The woman that I love. So it was my wife.
Mine neither. So you're all good, man.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh, we were talking about this. Oh, on that podcast you do? All right, no, you're out. That's not supporting at all. You have to be. It's not. Come on, you have to help me out here.
And on that, we tiptoe out of the room and close the door and close the book on this conversation. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Loki has done so much to change the MCU because he's the god of mischief. He's the god of chaos, basically. So he's just running around, not chaos specifically. And I'm apologizing to any of my rules lawyer, true geek friends who are going to kill me because of the phrasing I'm using. But he's basically chaotic. Yeah, he's running around doing the crazy things that, I'm just going to run over here and do this. Whoa, why do you have the cosmic cube? There's an infinity stone in there. Why do you have that? And he's like, I'm taking this home. And he disappears. He's like, what do you do with that? Oh, well, I go and change the entire timeline. Yep. It's amazing. I love it.
Which is interesting too, because there's so many different like little bits and pieces that's what I love about like some of the people I follow on Twitter, because you get all those little like extra little pieces. Mm-hmm. Like there's one guy that I follow who he's always got like the all these little extra tidbits in there. There's 2 guys that are like these 2 Asian guys that I love to watch, who are always like, have you heard the theory about this? And it's, all these different like deals where, like for instance, the one was had to do with in Moana where she saves the one sea turtle, and then
Mhm.
like that they basically say that sea turtle is like Crush later on, and
No way. That's
yeah,
beautiful. That's
so
beautiful.
stuff like that, or that the
We should
girl
clarify. Sorry, Crush from Finding Nemo for everyone who didn't get the
Crush from
reference
Finding Nemo,
immediately.
yeah,
Yeah, I got it, but I'm just saying we got a lot of people listening, to
right.
the number one podcast in Sadding. So we want to make sure we clarify for this thing. Didn't mean to derail you, though. I always do that.
No,
I
you're fine.
apologize.
You're fine. You're fine. But yeah, just all these different little things like that. So you've got all that going on with those guys. And then I just saw where one of our good buddies that was on the show with us back last May, our Eddie, got invited down to Disney to be a part of, or not Disney, maybe, I guess it is part of Disney, but got to be a part of like the pre-launch for the new like resort that they have down there for Star Wars.
Yeah, the Star
Like
Wars. It's a
Galactic.
ship, isn't it? It's a galactic.
Yeah.
It's a. I don't know what ship it is. I know it's not like the Millennium Falcon or anything, but it's a giant.
It's just a giant
ship.
galactic. Yeah, it's just like an
Yeah.
imperial. Yeah, like a ship or whatever. Where like basically you stay in these rooms. There's no windows. Like the windows that would be are actually like monitor screens, but
Mhm.
and it looks like space and stuff like that. And they've got like lightsaber training and like the actual like bar type setup that you would have in Star Wars and stuff.
That
But I'm like,
sounds perfect.
yeah, and I'm like, and I'm watching like Art and this other guy who goes by the name of Straw Hat Goofy and stuff in there, and they're just showing all the. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are freaking awesome! Like this is so neat. But yeah, he was like, I got to, he was showing like I got to go and do all this different stuff, and I'm like, that's wild. The funny thing is that there's a really cool video that I saw from that, where at the end they had a scene where Ray fights yeah, gosh, why am I messing up on names? Yeah, who's the villain? I'm so bad.
Palpatine.
No, Ben Solo.
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. There it is. Gosh, man,
Mhm.
I'll tell you what, it's been a day. So they have a fight scene for everybody to watch, and she's holding one of the most realistic lightsabers, but it's super flimsy, but you don't know that. And she's just holding the actual handle of it. And when she hits it, it actually goes up, but it's not one of your normal ones, but you can't fight with it because of the way it's set up. So she's got this really awkward transition where she like sets it down and then picks up one of the like normal lightsabers that we all can buy type
You
of
can
deal.
fight with. Yeah.
But it was still really cool to like watch it
Yeah.
like up like in
Yeah,
the movies.
yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, can I buy that one? They made it
Well, that's-
very well known that like it is not
Not for sale.
Not for
getting this
sale.
one.
One of a
Yeah,
kind.
we'll get it eventually. I
Yeah.
guarantee it's coming because there's too many geeks out there. They're gonna. And speaking of, because you mentioned art and I mentioned geeks, I can't imagine. I don't know anybody that deserves it more than Art Eddie to get to go to that hotel, that resort, and stay and experience this. And I'm so happy for you, Art. If you ever hear this, kudos, man. I am really just delighted that you got that, because that's perfect in my opinion.
We might have to bring him on just so that he can talk about that.
Just geek for a while.
Do another May the 4th and bring him on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hey, May's coming. All right, Art, if you're not listening, get on it. We're coming.
He'd be listening.
Call you.
So, but yeah, so that just all kinds of fun movie stuff. There's so many good movies coming out. I'm getting amped up about that because the one that my wife is so much excited about, and we just found out it was shot in IMAX, so that's even better because is the new Top Gun.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it's shot in IMAX. That will be epic.
Yeah. It looks amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, so good. And
well, is there a shirtless volleyball scene?
Yep.
Is it really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, well, Marnie will watch it.
There's that. There's the shirtless volleyball scene. There is there's a bar scene as well. So all of that stuff is in there. It's a lot of the characters, like you've got a character that looks just like Goose because Goose's son is in it. You've got a character that, man, I think he looks a lot like Iceman, honestly. And then
Val Kilmer. Oh.
Yeah. And so I don't know if their kids actually are like going to be a part of it. I know for certain that I know for certain that the one guy in it is actually Goose's son. Like that's the portrayal, is that he's in there.
Wait, is it the actor's son playing a character, or is it Goose's son as a character?
Goose's character's son.
Okay, all right. Just
Playing,
wanted to
yeah.
clarify. It was yeah.
No, we don't have
Yeah.
Dr. Green.
Talk to me, Goose. Yeah. Don't make me cry, man.
No. So so that's one of the ones that we're really looking forward to. So and there's just so many other movies that are coming out. So
Marnie and I have a date night on Wednesday.
Ooh.
And we're planning to watch West Side Story on TV.
The new one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Because I kind of love musicals. I haven't really ever seen musicals growing up. They're kind of, you'd hear the songs and I'd like to sing to them, but I never like watched Oklahoma or anything like that. We didn't do those things in school. At least my family didn't, I guess. But Marnie did. And she loves musicals. And she was like, yeah. And so I looked at it and it's coming up. I saw like a preview or whatever. So I sent her a thing like, all right, so Wednesday, regular date night, you good? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, let's watch West Side Story. And she's like, you do love me. Like, yeah, I really do. Next week, we may watch something way more gory, thanks. Something with some violence. I don't know, something that I could get it. A war movie. Can we watch a war movie? No, you can't watch war movies, by the way.
Well, and from a kid standpoint, a movie that's coming out that my kids are excited about, I am too, is the Turning Red with the panda. The red panda?
No, I don't know anything about that one.
You don't know about that
wait. It's the little girl that poops into a giant.
It's going to be
I've only
on
seen
Disney
the trailer
Plus.
one time. Yeah. So tell us about it.
So it's coming out on Disney Plus. I think March 11th, actually.
Cool.
Basically, it has to do with family heritage in the Asian culture. And it's like some weird rite of passage where when her, hormones go kind of bonkers like most kids do at that age, she turns into a giant red panda. I mean, and we're talking like a giant red panda, like
it gotta be like 10 feet tall.
Yeah,
when I remember the trailer. I mean, she's huge. I'm like,
it's like,
there you go, man.
Yeah, it's a straight up like cosplay, like furry type thing. my favorite scene is my favorite scene by far has got to be the scene where she's in the bathroom and she turns into the red panda, and the girl comes out of the stall and gets ready to scream and she just puts her paw like in her face and just pushes her back into the stall.
No screaming. Shh.
Yeah. So it looks hysterical, and I mean, it just falls in line with a lot of the other shows that Disney Plus has been putting out here recently with Encanto and Luca and all that stuff. So it's gonna be a good one. So we're excited about that. But yeah, I mean, it all these different shows. New Batman's out, Uncharted.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see. Everybody always pans any new Spider-Man, new Thor, anything you've got coming out. Oh, no, he's not this guy. We want this guy. Sure, cool, gotcha. I understand. However, every single character has brought so much to each of the Batman characters. And like, who's your favorite? Okay, you got a favorite. I'm kind of like, I like every single one in their movie.
They're all unique.
They were best. Yeah, absolutely. It's like Doctor Who. You don't watch Doctor Who, do you?
I don't, but I understand there have been multiple Doctor Who's. Well, and two with Batman, there are multiple different like comics of Batman. So it only makes sense for there to be multiple entities of movies that make sense, because they don't look the same. Although I did hear in an interview that the guy playing Batman, which I'm just pulling it up here because I'm gonna die. Like Robert Pattinson, he, another Harry Potter guy, is playing
also Batman. Twilight, filthy casual. He was only in like one part of one Harry Potter movie, and he died. He
dies in Harry Potter. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, come on. Twilight never died. Just saying. For like thousands of years. Everything.
He said he got to try on all the Batman suits so they could find
like all the old ones.
Yeah, like Keaton's and all those guys. Like he got to try them all on. He said so because they were trying to figure out like how like helmets were going to work on him and stuff like that. But I was like, cowl.
That's the worst part about the cowl is basically not being able to move your head. You got to like turn your whole body and
I
tilt
know.
your head up to look at it. Can't turn your neck.
My cousin has been cosplaying Batman for like a decade or two. So
Cool.
He's got a really
You've
sweet
got
suit.
deep geek roots, man. I'm impressed.
Yeah. He was Batman down in like San Antonio, and he goes by Hoosier Batman. He's in Indiana now, and so he was doing that for a while.
Nice.
And his wife plays
Very
Harley
cool.
Quinn, so they've got some awesome pictures of them. And then he dresses up as the Joker too. So yeah, it goes deep.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so that show is looking really cool too. And then this is one that I'll be watching by myself, is the new Jackass movie.
Oh yeah.
Because I just thought they were so funny, and I watched it when I was in college on MTV, and the movies have been hysterical. This last one, I mean, the movie, like, they've got Machine Gun Kelly on there getting smacked in the face, and I'm just like, dude, I just want to see that. Because they tell him it's not going to hurt, and he gets out of the pool after he's like, you told me that wasn't going to hurt. That hurts so bad.
Yeah, it's going to hurt.
I'm like, man, don't never
watch this show.
Yeah, don't think anything's not going to hurt. So, but
We've been watching a series that we found just recently, and it's on Disney Plus, and it's called The Mysterious Benedict Society.
Oh yeah.
It's about some very, very intelligent, very talented children who think kind of outside the box, and the narration is kind of, we're looking for people who want to know the truth and who believe and search for the truth, and even though the world that we live in, and it's their own world, their own things are going on, it's not our world, but it's very it's kind of runs together with it, in that we want to know not only the truth, but we want to look for people who don't fall to the despair that our daily life seems to be kind of cramming down our throats. And it's really, really, I mean, you can look at it as almost a political statement if you want to, but the thing that I get out of it, and the things that Marcus, especially my 9-year-old, gets out of it, is that, okay, children have the ability to change the world.
Oh yeah.
Children have the entire world in their hands. They have the imagination, the strength, the intelligence, everything that you need to make the world a better place. And that's a message I think that all kids need, every generation, ad infinitum. Yep. Every child ever should be able to think, oh, well, yeah, kids can change the world, to help inspire them to do things just like that. So the Mysterious Benedict Society for us has been a great little segue. We just step off and watch that episode, and then we go back to doing whatever. We've watched, I think, 4 episodes now.
That's cool.
But really just a delightful little kids show that the parents can kind of watch without, getting inundated with new songs to sing, or having to buy new toys or whatever.
Well, that's cool. I'll have to check that out, because I think we watched maybe an episode of it, but the kids didn't seem like they were getting drawn into it. But that was a while ago, so we can always try again. So, but yeah, I mean, there's just so many different shows out there that are getting into. Like, we've had to change our spring break plans around, so we'll probably be watching some of that stuff from time to time. So, but we'll leave it at this, and then we're gonna go, because I know Danny needs to definitely.
I'm running out of air, man.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. After you, for those of you who are listening to this, after you've listened to this, like, let us know in the posts that we have, like, what are some shows that you're looking forward to? Like, what's your favorite movies? Like, let's have a conversation online about this, because honestly, like, I love being able to post something and then like have a conversation, and that way we can interact with everybody about what their favorite movies are, what shows they're watching, that kind of thing, because there's a lot out there to be had, and we could be on here for days talking about it. So
and we want new suggestions. I mean, at least I do. I want to hear about all these things, because like Red, you mentioned Red, and I'd forgotten it. I saw the trailer only one time, but I would have remembered it eventually, but now I've got it on my list. So anybody out there, if you've got a favorite thing you're watching right now, something that's going great with your kids, I know I'd love to hear about it. And we definitely would like to be able to tell everybody about those things, like Red, or honestly, Peacemaker, in a way, what not to watch with your kids, I guess. But
Euphoria, what not to watch with your kids.
Yes, exactly. Things you should not be watching with kids.
I'm watching that right now too.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I would love to hear from everybody.
Cool.
So I agree with that.
Sweet. Well, hey, I think we're gonna end it up there, man. I hope that you get to feeling better. I know that you've been having some rough goes with things. So hopefully
better every day. Better every day.
And it's starting to warm up your way. So hopefully that continues, even though there's more snow on the way from what I understand. So hopefully it doesn't stick around for long. But other than that, we'll talk to y'all again next week. And yeah, let us know what you're watching. So y'all have a good one. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.